Supply Chain Moves. I'm Lara, your host for today, and we will be interviewing a very special guest. I worked with Omar in sales for I think a year already, and fresh from Davao, another island here in the Philippines. He just arrived this morning. Can be with us here in Rizal, Luzon, in the Philippines. So, Omar, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
You've had such an interesting career journey, and before this recording, I was interviewing Omar about his career experience, but I will let him share more a little bit about himself and your background.
Cool. Thank you so much, Laura, for having me in this episode. And I think, just a quick background. I think I've had a really colorful background, knowing that I've come from overseas and I've studied in the UK. I'm a UK graduate, and I've worked in different fields. Not just, I mean, supply chain is something new to me. So coming from um, construction, having a business, even working BPO, and at the same time being a general manager for a food and beverage company. With all that experience, here I am coming into move with not a lot of experience in supply chain, especially having basically almost close to zero knowledge in supply chain.
Your experience, diverse, very diverse experience in finance, occupational health, and you've had other experiences, even of your own business. But what made you decide to join us and learn supply chain?
I think I think that the challenge sort of started from owning a business, especially everything has its own little supply chain. It may not be a sort of direct to consumer type of deal, but there's always some sort of supply chain in Damaka. Having your own business, working in construction, there was a large part of the logistics, which is still part of the supply chain, and sort of the challenge, and it makes you think that, oh, okay, this is what operations is built off of, is supply chain. And me wanting to shift to, let's say, a more work from home startup, I fortunately found Move, and they've taken me in, and I've learned a lot when coming in from most supply chain experience to working with experts like Lara and others. Wasn't inspired.
I think our biggest advantage, you and I, because we are the one doing discovery calls with our clients. I think that your biggest advantage is your experience in the business. You said that during your cafe start out, so he has a building of with overlooking cafe, and he was the founder. He is the owner, and you're also acting as the purchasing inventory planning of that, right? So having that experience to be doing everything is the same case of all our clients. So Omar, be having that experience can relate to our clients pain points wherein you started the work, you're the first supply chain marketing finance of your business, and then eventually it will grow and you'll get tired, and you wanted to focus on the growth, and then you will hire people, exactly what you've done in your cafe. So in that shift, what was the biggest learning curve when you made that shift?
I think the biggest learning curve would definitely have to be the technicalities, just because operating, let's say, a cafe restaurant has a lot of has its own technicalities compared to, let's say, a direct consumer brand, which has a lot of moving parts. Of course, you having vendors from China or faraway places. You're having to place purchase orders, and you having to calculate, let's say, lead time compared to, let's say, cafe, where it's a perishable good. So you would need to do it ASAP. I need this to be sold in this specific pan. So I think learning curve wide technicalities coming into supply chain. Supply chain is really broad coming into inventory planning. There's a lot of nuances coming into it. Same with logistics. There's a lot of moving parts. Sourcing as well. There's a lot of things to to cover, such as what are the type of qualities, raw materials you're getting, and I think that's something that you learn, and you'll get that mindset working with a lot of these brands and gearing a lot of the things.
Actually, your experience in your cafe is far harder than fitting group because my first work is also food. So purchasing for KFC, Mr. Canona. So the shelf life adds complexity to that, and you can't overstock, not because you have, not just because you will pay for extra warehouse costs, but because it will spoil.
100%.
Yes.
Yes.
So, um, given your very diverse skill, what were your strength that or your skills from your past roles that translated surprisingly you into the supply chain?
Um, yeah, that's a very good question. I think a lot of the skill set would have to be data. Um, data coming in, data is everywhere coming into business. So I think skill set wise, knowing how a business works, how you want to calculate revenue, and understanding how business owners think. I think that's the largest skill that I managed to carry over. Of course, technicalities not being there because I don't have much experience in it, but I think that's the skill set that I could bring.
I think one of the best decisions we've done in the past, Omar, is when we hired you, you joined different trainings in supply chain. So you're part of the first or second batch of sourcing training that I conducted, and you actually immersed yourself as a talent while being the admin and sales at that time. So being immersed, working with clients, doing the actual job was really helpful for you to be to experience the real work in supply chain. And I know that you're also interested joining other trainings in the future, like inventory planning, logistics, and warehousing. So continuous learning. Many DTC founders think that about supply chain only when something goes wrong, like stockouts, delays, and rising costs. Um, but the best brands are the ones that treat supply chain as a strategic advantage. However, for DTC and SMB or small to medium sized businesses, they would really start with marketing, like getting your product, being their supply chain talent, and then doing the work, getting the PO, and then when it's depleted or sold out, that's the time that they will realize I need more expertise in this part. So, based on your experience, what have you observed about founders who nurtured supply chain from the beginning?
Based on experience, I think founders need to have some sort of core activity and hack the supply chain, not being proactive in tackling the supply chain issues before the actual issues come in. Let's say coming in from the tariff issue, which was what 2 months, we're coming into the third month of the pause. We've had clients that had that proactiveness, the active resource from, let's say, Vietnam before it even kicked in. So I think a large part of the supply chain is don't be spared to invest in your ops, in your supply chain, because at the end of the day, that's once you have a resilient supply chain, it's very hard for your business to couple down. Let's say, wow.
I just wanted to dive in a little bit about your experience in the captain. What was your greatest challenge when you did the supply chain yourself?
I think a lot of owners at some point will either experience a stock out or an overstock. So for me, that was a large challenge just because um, once you open a cafe, and let's say at the beginning, there's a lot of customers, of course. So volume is big, you're ordering a lot. So how would you forecast knowing that when is my sales going to plateau to a certain degree, and when should I stop stocking a lot, right? So I think that's a large part of experience that I learned, and of course coming into inventory planning, um, that is a really important thing, especially with perishable goods, as we mentioned earlier, because you can't overstock it. Just because what if you don't have enough storage space? Because what if your refrigerator isn't big enough? So there's a lot of things that you have to take into account. Freshness of food that you're serving. So knowing into that, I think that always come to the experience, or if you have people that have more experience to consult with, just to get advice on what they did. I think that's what really helped me.
At that time, did you enjoy supply chain?
Um. Yeah. I think no. When you're when you're an owner and you're doing everything ops wise, you're doing all the sourcing, all the inventory management, whatever business it is, and the logistics part. It's really difficult for you to grow the business just because you're so hands on at operation.
Yeah.
And I think 100% a lot of DTC owners and these e-commerce businesses have definitely felt something like that.
So I just wanted to share a case study or an example of our actual client who made the move and was proactive even before the tariff hits, as if he saw what's coming. But at that time, excuse me, at that time, nobody knows that the tariff issue is coming. And this specific client, maybe 4 months before tariff is, he already decided that he will transfer from China to Vietnam. And on that goal, he did not stop until we found vendors or alternative vendors from Vietnam. And it's very fortunate for him that when the tariff starts um, being when US was affected by tariff, he's already prepared for Vietnam. So we've also experienced a lot of sourcing work after the tariff was announced. So most of our clients cook the sourcing package because they really wanted to ship from China to Vietnam.
Yeah, and I think just to add to that, a couple of them actually benefited because the moment that we managed to help them find the vendors or alternative vendors, the 90-day pause is there. So we're very fortunate during that time span, the 90-day pause happened and they kicked in. So within 30 days, we managed to help them with that.
So let's discuss what supply chain mindset is, especially in the TTC world. I love that we will get to discuss this together because we will offer two very important perspectives. Mine is I'm coming from more than 50 years actually of experience in supply chain, and you're someone who just transformed last year. Although you have experience in your business formally last year. So I'd love to combine the deep expertise with fresh perspective. I'll share some of my thoughts about what I believe a supply chain mindset is, and I invite you to elaborate on this and see if you can give examples of this, some things that you've seen in Nash. So, for me, number one is being a problem solver. It's when I hire talents in supply chain, when I hire my team members, I always look out for the soft skill problem solving because supply chain is full of surprises, challenges, and when there's no challenges, it doesn't feel like supply chain. So yeah, if you can share more about that mindset, the problem solver.
Okay, I think coming in with no experience, but if you're a really good problem solver, you'll find a way. Like you're not going to stop until you find a way.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of trial and error, of course. Learning a lot of things into the in the DTC world. And then and starting. Let's say you're a new DTC brand that wants to launch. You have a lot of ideas, and perhaps there's times where you don't know that it's going to be a problem until you get to that point. So I think like best practice when you're starting off is to consult with experts. I think learning supply chain is easy, but once you have experts to consult with, that's when the speed comes in. Because it will be direct. They can dictate. Let's start with this. Let's start with that. We can better optimize this. We did it like this. Just because you think that maybe there's a lot of great ideas, of course, but it's always sometimes better to have a second opinion on ideas again.
So we have interns, sourcing specialists that graduated from our trainee. And my experience with them, they're all very talented. But my experience is they easily get uh what do you call this a little bit anxious when they're not getting with the results that they want. And in supply chain, it's rarely that your plan is being followed for like 100%. There are so many factors that your plan can be disrupted. So my guidance to the team is always, have we done everything we could to fix this? Did we provide recommendations and set options? Because at this point, that's the only thing we can do. Like, we need to lower down our expectations, or like, if we've done everything, then that's it. We can't do anything more. Like, we're not musicians. And although we wanted to support our clients to launch after 1 month, you wanted that. But definitely, if you want to launch a product that is of high quality standard, we will guide them how to do it right. So end to end thinking as well is number two. See supply chain as more than just logistics. It's about customer experience, controls, scalability, quality. So I think before, as for my personal experience, when you're dealing with end-to-end supply chain, you'll have problems with sourcing. Your vendor will call that you have a delay in production. The next day, your logistics, your freight forwarder will say that you have a port congestion. The next day, you have missing products in your warehouse. So having like be thinking about it in a more in a bigger way, and solving it like as one, is also a very important part in supply chain, because they're all connected. So if you focus in one aspect and you forgot about the others, eventually you'll feel the problems again. So did you have any similar experience with our clients or their talents?
Yeah, I think with a lot of DPC owners, it varies, of course. This having different types of pain points, and knowing how to um, properly solve those the pain points. And I think with a lot of DTC owners making a lot of decisions, maybe a lot of them would decide on something reactively, especially now with a lot of apparent issues. Um, so those are the kind of things that maybe we want to stay away from, and think forward. Like, let's say, what's the best thing you can do after six months. So maybe supply chain is a little bit more. What we plant now is we will sow it in, let's say, 6 months.
So the third mindset is the data-driven decision making, knowing key supply chain numbers, so you're not making blind guesses. Like, if you wanted to have a 12-month forecast of your products, you need to look back with your previous sales, and then add all your plans in the future, like marketing, ads, campaign, growth factor, that. So if I am working with someone who doesn't use data, it's a red flag that they won't be able to make use of the best decisions of supply chain, because gut feeling is not enough. Although we use it sometimes, because of the and because of a lot of decision making that we have to do. Sometimes there's a data and there's a gut feeling, but data driven is what makes us have a better decision maker. Fourth is resilience and agility. This is one of my favorite, because having contingency plans, A, B, C, D, E until Z, backup suppliers, backup freight forwarders, warehouses, logistics, 3PL, and risk mitigation strategies. And we both know how our clients have suffered in having just one supplier storing. Um, do you have any like recollection on keeping
Yeah,
here?
actually, a lot of maybe smaller bands that we work with only rely on one. Made like they be looking at getting away from tariffs, but there's always a better alternative. Let's say if you wanted to save on costs, that could be a main reason why you'd want to switch vendors. So like if this if you think that you have the best vendor, you don't know what you don't know. You could potentially find a better vendor if you look. So there could be a large discrepancy when it comes to your hogs. Perhaps after, let's say, 30 days, you find a better vendor. Then at the end of the day, you might not want to switch everything to that, but at least if anything happens, we can dual source to do different vendors.
A lot of our experience, our clients will say, no, we have a very good relationship with our existing vendors. We don't want to replace. But we keep saying that we don't need to order from the alternative vendor just yet. We will only order when there's a problem with your favorite supplier.
Yeah.
But what's important is you have an approved sampling
Yeah.
from an alternative. So last mindset that we would like to discuss with you is the customer-centric mindset. Our understanding that a delayed or damaged product is a lost customer. So it's not just speed, it's not just cost, but also the quality of the products, the total experience that we're giving to the customers that our brands or our clients giving to our customers. All right, so Omar, before we wrap up, I'd love to learn more about your journey in learning supply chain. You shared so many good insights, but have you gone through a major learning curve in supply chain? And if yes, what kept you the most?
I think what helped me the most is one, learning from industry experts, and another being deep diving and being thrown into the deep part of the pool, working with clients, even NPD, and sort of that type of exposure and experience. It plays a big. It makes you learn quickly and on your feet. Just because if you don't, you're gonna fall behind. Because number one, maybe you won't meet your clients' expectations, or I think that's where a lot of our interns have had the frustration of feeling that, oh, I might not be able to catch this launch date or that launch date. But at the end of the day, if you set proper expectations, then it should be fine because you're playing the best, right? And like learning curve wise, continuous learning for me would definitely be, right now we're working with a lot of logistics, offering a lot of logistics just because a lot of uh, a lot of DTC brands are looking to carrot engineer. We're looking to somehow find some cost saving in the logistics part. So for me right now, I think that's what I'm currently deep diving into. Actively working with a lot of clients that are sort of looking at that part of budget.
And how important is mentorship or structured training for professionals transitioning into supply chain? So basically your experience transition.
Yeah, so I think mentorship and learning from more experienced supply chain experts or ops expert, or they may not even just be a supply chain expert. They may just be very knowledgeable in a certain field in the DEC business or DCC world or e-commerce, because they can give you insights that maybe they have best practices that you can apply to whatever project with you're working on. So I think that's a really good source of knowledge that a lot of people can get in that.
So in MOOC supply chain, we have consistent training. So we have sourcing, new product development trainings to our talents. And then now we will have inventory, demand forecasting trainings as well. We make sure that we support our talents to that. What advice would you give to someone considering to learn more in supply chain? Let's just say.
So I think number one best piece of advice is keep an open mind. It may seem really complicated at first, but it's not when you actually do the actual work. May it be sourcing, may it be inventory planning, may it be logistics. When you actually get to do the work, you can learn relatively quickly, and it's a skill that you pick up by actually doing. Yeah.
Actually, that's a message to our listeners as well. Our clients who's not ready to take on team members yet. If you wanted to do it yourself, there's a stage in your business where you can still really do it. But if you did decide to do it yourself, do it the best way you can. Like there are so many references now online, people to follow. You can join our Slack community that you will be launching. Maybe when this is posted, it's already launched. So look for that. What's our name? What's the name of our community? Slack community? Supply Chain Lounge. So look for that and join us in Supply Chain Lounge. Because even just asking questions or listening to experts will definitely give you a lot of learning. So if you're a DTC founder, mastering supply chain isn't just about avoiding problems. It's about creating a competitive advantage. A supply chain mindset helps you optimize operations, cut costs, improve customer experience, and scale sustainability. And if this conversation got you thinking about how to upgrade your supply chain strategy, connect with us in Mood Supply Chain. You will be seeing us in that Discovery Task. Omar, when can people reach out to you if they want to learn more?
Yeah, so you guys can go on our website, movesupplychain.com. Feel free to book a call. We're usually free whenever we can, and we'll definitely be giving you a lot of insight. Yeah. Like,
Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episodes of Supply Chain. Thank you, Omar.